Hello and welcome to Art with Mr. P. Week 4 already. This week we're looking at printmaking. Printmaking is very much about repeating something. And primary ones will know that if you repeat something, you then make a pattern. So printmaking must be about making patterns. Let's get creative. Let's have some fun. So, thinking about printmaking, I need a surface to print onto, and I found a bit of grey paper. I need something to print, and I've also found some yellow, red and blue paint, so there are my primary colours, and I've also got some white as well. I've also found a few materials to use to print with. So I found an old cube, plastic cube, a little bit of metal type, milk bottle top, piece of Lego, an old cork, a bit of old wood, an old loo roll and some cardboard. Cardboard's corrugated, so it might produce more interesting shapes. I could maybe peel off one side, maybe, and see what's underneath. Now, whatever you do use to do your printmaking, make sure that it's nothing precious. Make sure that you have permission to use it. Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? Right, okay. So, we're going to start off by creating a simple pattern. I think I'm going to get the loo roll. I'm going to dip that into the yellow paint. And I'm going to print across here. And as soon as the paint starts to run out, I can get some more. Okay. Now, I'm being very careful not to smudge what I'm printing. Yeah. Okay, I think I'm going to get the cork and put that into the red. Pretty gooey, this resin. I need to make it neat because I'm after the circle shapes of the cork, so I'm going to put it in there. And there. Now, the idea is that I keep going until I have filled up the whole piece of paper here. So you can see how, by printing these shapes and by repeating the shapes, I'm making the pattern. Right, I think I'm going to use a piece of cardboard now. Go into the blue. Good idea. I could go there. Now, instead of repeating the pattern exactly the same each time, I'm challenging one part of it. And what's happening here is we've now got the idea of movement. But you can see how basically I repeat the shapes, make up this pattern, and I could go on, like I say, until I filled up the whole piece of paper. So there's an option. Use the materials that you can find around you here. Okay, here's another option. I take a piece of paper, I fold it in half. And on one side of the piece of paper, using a brush, I'm going to paint a butterfly. So I think my butterfly is going to be mostly yellow. Something like that. Going to add a bit of red in there. Some bottom wings. Being a bit too easy with the paint here. Okay, so around it goes. Put some blue in. So these are the primary colours, remember? Okay. And I fold that over, press it down. Now, you've got to use quite a lot of paint here. And there I get a symmetrical print. Let's have a look. There it is. Symmetrical print where one side is a reflection almost of the other side. You can see it would work better if I'd used more paint, but I'm hoping that you get the idea. Now, if you haven't got these things, you can, of course, produce your own patterns without using printmaking. So I could create a row of circles. Try and make it as neat as possible. Keep it neat, yeah. So I'm just using coloured pencils now. Looking back at the work that some of you have sent me to look at, I can see that you haven't all got all the materials that you might have yet. So I'm assuming that some of you won't have any paint here. But you can see that inside the orange circle we have a green circle, and inside the green circle we have a little red dot. And so you can keep going until you've finished the whole page. Let's do one more. Just because we're getting creative and we're having fun. Right, so if I did black triangles over the whole page, trying to keep them neat. And then I could add red triangles. Oh, I need to be neater than that, Mr. P. And then we could add, it may help to think about the kinds of shapes that you've been using in numeracy, about the 2D shapes you've been learning in maths, yeah? Okay, so you can imagine the whole page covered in pattern. Okay, great. Now remember, next week, 3D. So this week we've been exploring printmaking, and we've discovered that when you repeat something, you make a pattern, and printmaking is very much about making patterns. Now there are patterns all around you. Have a look around the room that you're in. There might be patterns on the floor, like patterns on the wall. There might be patterns in the carpets or the blinds. There might be patterns on the furniture. But there are patterns in nature too. There are patterns in leaves and flowers, pine cones, snails, shells. Patterns everywhere. And they can all provide inspiration. And they can all give us good ideas when we produce art. Now, next week, we'll be exploring a little bit of three-dimensional work. So we're looking at maybe a little bit of sculpture. See you then.